Sadly, my video was cut due to somebody calling me, so I'm gonna restart. Okay, so while it's maybe a bit late, I have some interim reflections written down in my notes, and I'll show that later. And I also have done some reflections with Leo regarding Koh Tao. This will be my final reflection, and I just want to talk about how the trip went as a whole and the learning outcomes. Overall, I thought that this was just a beautiful trip. It was probably my favorite out-of-school trip, like week without walls type thing. And I just had a really great time. Koh Tao is a beautiful place. Although it rained quite a bit, it was still really nice, and it made me really see the beauty in the ocean, and it kind of motivates me to get a master diver certificate, and also try and do projects like these later in the future with either Mr. Mark or somebody else. Anyways, the two learning outcomes I chose for this event were demonstrating skills and recognizing the benefits of working collaboratively, and recognizing and considering the ethics of choices and actions. Starting with working collaboratively, this was a project that no one could do alone, and on a global scale that becomes even more true. To save the reef, you need many people. It's definitely an effort that requires a lot of physical labor, which is always easier with the more people you have, and also requires a certain kind of herd awareness, which can only be sustained with larger amounts of people. Two of the biggest collaborative events that demonstrated this kind of effort was the welding of structures that we made to plant our coral reefs, and the actual planting of the coral reefs themselves. Starting with the welding and molding, we made some concrete and glass bottle structures which you could tie which you could tie corals to. And then secondly, we did some welding and molding, as I said earlier, of one large structure which they planted later on. This was a huge project, and it required a lot of physical effort. There were people who needed to cut down some of those metal bars we had. Some people were responsible for bending them into certain shapes. Some were responsible for tying. And although I wasn't exactly in charge, I definitely was working with others, and we were all participating to work at one goal, which was just excellent. And everybody just seemed to be working, and if it wasn't for them, then we would have definitely not have been as effective, and this trip might have taken months if it was just 2 or 3 people. And then the tying of the corals themselves were excellent demonstration of collaborative effort, as we all had to pair up in groups, pair up it with a buddy and try and tie the coral reef. So we really watched out for each other, and although I did make a few mistakes regarding RAF, I feel like that it was an excellent team effort, and it couldn't have been done without everyone. The ethics and choices of our actions was a huge emphasis of this trip, as we went through many presentations and lectures regarding the harm that the destruction of reefs is causing. We also went to a dump site, and finally we recorded the amount of fish in the sea. I'll start with the garbage patch because I feel like it's the most emotional. Near the middle of Koh Tao, up a hill, there is a dump site with an immense amount of garbage, and it stinks so bad that it makes you want to vomit. And I think this really opened up the eyes of everyone. We all came to this trip for, I think it was a combination of reasons, the two main being it was gonna be fun, and also it was gonna be beneficial for the reefs, and I feel like everybody knew that they were really helping, but we didn't really understand what we were fighting against up until we saw the dump. I mean, it was stacked meters high with garbage, and one person drove up with a bike and just started dumping bottles and trash and foul-smelling food. And what was even sadder was that there were dogs picking around, and nobody seemed to care. Nobody seemed to bat an eye. So this really made us aware of, the plastic we're just throwing away almost every day, without any notice. The food we're wasting. People just, especially at NIST and more first world areas, we don't really see the actual issues at hand. But then when you go to less developed areas, you really see those drastic effects that have a cumulative effect on our environment, and it was just shocking. And I feel like it's unethical to constantly be using plastic, and it's not only unsustainable, but it's also selfish, as you're damaging many people's lives and the environment. And what was the other thing? Oh, the what's it called? The lectures and slides. Not only did they show us many statistics about unsustainable procedures and lifestyles, but they also gave us facts about the environment and how the coral reef is getting destroyed. They showed us some very cute sea turtles during the lectures and some beautiful coral structures, and they showed us the beauty of what we're actively destroying, in a sense, or inactively destroying. And it really opened my eyes as well, and I really want to do something like this in the future, and I feel like this was a great experience, and that I think everyone should participate in something similar to this at least once in their lives, whether that be the ocean, the land, or something. As long as you're being consciously aware of the environment and the impacts you're having on it and trying to reduce that, I feel like that's an excellent outcome for everyone. And that concludes. I think that this is an excellent. I would recommend this CAS trip any day. Thank you.